Hello everyone, this is Yorgos. You may be wondering why this week's episode is much shorter than usual. The answer is simple. It's not a full episode, because we didn't have time to record a full episode. As it turns out, having both your kids and your partner get hit with a combination of fever, throat infection, ear infection, and a common cold is enough to rewrite your best laid plans. So without time to prep or record a full episode, we swapped things around a bit to bring you interviews. Good ones too. That said, we plan to be back next week in full force. And by the way, handling 2 kids on your own is really not that big of a deal, provided you don't have to go to work and completely give up doing any housework at all. It's true. I was also told to include a joke, so here it is. Knock knock. Who's there? I'm sorry I can't hear you because this ear infection is really doing a number on me. That is all.
A few months ago, I saw a couple of posts on the board game group on Facebook from local game stores that were shutting down. This was no surprise. More and more game stores seem like quaint white elephants propped up by enthusiasts, the retail equivalent to the cassette tape or the adult magazine, but these were different. I saw 2 posts in as many days from stores claiming that the Asmodee policies on internet retailing were directly responsible for their stores closing. And as most of the commentary on the Asmodee policies has been speculation, I decided to get something straight from the horse's mouth. So I reached out, and Marko Miladinovich got back to me, and this is his story. We did contact Asmodee, but as of yet, we've had no response.
Name is Marko Miladinovich, and I am the store owner of Markorama Games. We originally started off as an online store only. By profession, I'm actually a software developer. I've been a software developer for 25 years, so I was using my abilities as a software developer. I made my own website. So I was utilizing my skills I had as a programmer in this field and started off with an online business with my own website and with eBay. And we did that for 7 years out of my home, out of my basement. When we grew the business little by little, buying more and more inventory. Until we got to a fairly good amount of sales. Then we decided to open a brick and mortar store here in my town where I live. Now, when we opened a store, we knew that I live in a very rural area. We probably have the same amount of cows as people in this county. So... And the area where the store was not very highly populated as far as foot traffic is concerned. So we knew going in that it was going to be difficult for the store to manage with just in-store sales. But we knew that we could always rely on our online sales and that we had going at the time, and then we're going to continue with that. And our online sales could easily support the kind of revenues that we needed to meet our expenses, our rent, our phone, and electricity, and all those things. So
let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning first. Why games? Then secondly, if you've got an online business that's sort of ticking along nicely, why did you feel the need to open a brick and mortar store?
That was always kind of my end goal that I wanted. I love games. I've been doing this since high school when one of my friends introduced me to gaming, and we had our own game club that we did every Saturday night. And we really stuck through with that for a very long time afterwards. So I had a fairly large collection of my own games I would buy, and we get together for gaming with our friends every so often. So it was something I really, really did enjoy. I had a layoff for my work 10 years ago, which at the time gave me an opportunity to explore doing the online sales. So I figured, why not use my hobby, something I really enjoy and love, and make a business out of it. There couldn't be anything better to be able to actually do what you love. It turned into a really good thing. I think when we opened the store here, we didn't know what to expect, but it turns out we've got a lot of very loyal customers who love the store, who spend a lot of time here, playing games and, doing their, just hanging out or whatever. We created a very social atmosphere here, lots of comfortable seating, table space for people to be able to come here and play. Like most game stores, you need to have Magic the Gathering in there, so we have a small Magic the Gathering community that comes here and plays every Friday night and another day of the week. We tried to get a Warhammer community going. That was not the best. But we tried to encompass the whole thing and just make it a place for gamers. Whatever gamers wanted to do, that would try to support them in that. So we had a small contingent of Pokemon players wanted to use the store, so we had Pokemon here and Magic. But our biggest focus was really on board games, and we probably have the largest selection of board games that you can find in any store in New Jersey. I would bet my money on. And if not up and down the East Coast here. Because we were selling online, I could buy a lot of titles that I know won't necessarily sell in the store, but I could always sell it online.
You kind of gone some way to answer this, but what do you think a local brick-and-mortar game store offers a gamer? Why are they vital? Why are they important?
Oh, it's a place for people to meet and meet friends, meet new people, get a chance to play games. We have a huge section of demo games that we offer to our customers. 2 full shelves full of demo games that people can just come here, take off the shell, open up, look at if they want to buy the game. So many times a customer walks in, they're interested in a game, and say, I got a demo of that. I open up the game, show them the components, show them the rules. If I played it, explain the game the way I know it. And it's great. Customers absolutely love that. And to be able to just come in here and have a place to meet other people, meet new people, and to play a game. And it's like we all have this one camaraderie. We all have this love of games. And it's a great place to come here. And, you can meet somebody for the very first time. That when you start playing a game with them, it's like you feel like you know them because you have that common bond in gaming.
So before we get to kind of what's happened to the store. So when you first opened the store, how was it working out? So the online sales was supplementing your store sales, and this was working out well? This was a good thing?
Yes. Yeah, we're building up our, presence here because we're in a kind of an area of the town where really it's not a highly trafficked area, so we had to get the word out. We tried some advertising and various forms of getting the word out, but really the word of mouth worked the best as more and more gamers came to the store and saw what we're doing here. So many people were just so excited that really we spread by word of mouth. So in the 3 years that we've been here, I probably have a database of about 600 customers who have been coming to the store on and off, whatnot. We have our regulars that are here all the time, but we have, in the 3 years in a very rural area. I don't know how to compare that to other stores, but I think a database of 600 customers was pretty good growth, considering it was mostly by word of mouth. And, we live in a rural area, and a lot of times people have to drive, half hour, 45 minutes away. One of our most loyal customers who are almost here every weekend, they live an hour away, and they make the trip up here every time because this is their place to come.
And so we go back to sort of, I guess it was Gamma Trade Show last year when Asmodee North America announced that they were going to change their sales policy. And could you briefly outline to the listeners what those changes were and then how they affected you?
Well, to my understanding, Asmodee had made this policy that nobody could sell their products online except for the few companies that they've selected. So as a brick and mortar store now, they're basically taking away my ability to sell products online and stuff that, I needed to be able to meet my expenses. In the beginning, we tried to comply with their policy. After a few months, our online sales plummeted as, our store probably has more than 50% of our inventory is Asmodee related products, and especially as they're gobbling up more and more brands right now. So it's not just Asmodee, it's Fantasy Flight Games. It's Days of Wonder. It's now they bought Z-Man Games. They also have Repos, and now I see Plaid Hat Games. And they bought the Catan title. These are all the most, the best-selling titles and brands that we have. It makes up more than 50% of my store. So they've effectively, without any, to us it looks like a very indiscriminate decision, but it's basically cut the legs out from underneath us.
So So what you're trying to say is it's not just the fact that it's so many games, but it's also those blue ribbon titles, those things that encourage people to spend their money, right?
Absolutely. The Memoir 44 series, the Ticket to Ride series, the Catan title, Seven Wonders, all the great Fantasy Flight games. There's so many titles. These are all really great selling titles that now I can no longer sell online.
I just want to take a couple of seconds out of this interview to talk about our new sponsor who we're very excited about, Vengeful Games. Now, Vengeful Games is a Danish internet retailer, and I met Thomas in a gaming con in Aarhus a couple of weeks ago, and this is a man who loves games. We spent 2 days playing games, talking about games, theorizing about games, and because he's in it for the love of it, this is why his prices are so low. And Vengeful Games has absolutely everything. I'm looking on the front page now, and it has Scythe, it has Mansions of Madness, it has Clank, it has The Others, it has The Exiled Siege, it has Terraforming Mars. It has all the games, because Thomas at Vengeful Games is a real gamer. Now, at the moment, he only ships to Denmark and to Germany, but he tells me that soon, in a matter of weeks, this will be the entire European Union, which means that you can get cheap, quality games shipped to you quickly and efficiently from someone who's a real gamer. So if you're interested, go over to vengefulgames.dk, that's vengefulgames.dk.
So how did you get to know this? When did you first realize that this was what they were saying to you?
Well, they sent out an email to everybody making that point and saying, you have to apply to get a specialty retailer number. And, which I did. I tried to get one to be able to sell online, explaining the fact that we have been selling online for 7 years. And they didn't seem to care. They had their pre-chosen people who were going to be selling online. And they said you can still get, a specialty retailer status for your store and be able to buy our products to be able to sell in your store. But that really went against our business model, which we founded our store on.
So basically what that says is, unless you have specialty retailer status, you can't stock and sell Asmodee product. Is that the case?
That's correct. And one way to get specialty retailer status is to have a brick and mortar store, but it's only to sell the products in the brick and mortar store. And then how they chose, I believe that Amazon, which is one of the largest sellers in the world, they're allowed to sell their products. And I believe Cool Stuff Inc. and Miniature Market, which are some of the larger stores. But yet those are brick and mortar stores as well as online sellers, yet they chose them to allow them to continue doing it, but little mom and pop stores like ours, we have to close.
So before we sort of get your opinions on that, so what has the logical conclusion been to that policy for you as you see it?
Oh, for us, it was, a death blow. Really, and they don't seem to be interested in hearing any exceptions or making any kind of, arrangements with individuals. I've contacted them numerous times regarding this, and they are not willing. They said, this is the policy. Sorry if it affects you this way, but we're not making any changes. So
basically you had to close the store down because of this policy, or the store is going to close down. And so do you see on their part, so you've mentioned Miniature Market, you've mentioned Cool Stuff Inc. I think Amazon doesn't yet have brick and mortar stores, as far as I know. But do you see a double standard? Because I know Cool Stuff certainly do. Do you see a double standard on their part?
Yeah, everybody who I've talked to here, none of us can really understand this policy and why they're so adamant about it. They're almost being militant about it in doing so. As I had mentioned, you said they came out with this policy in January of 2016. We had tried to comply with it for a few months. Our online sales plummeted, and we got ourselves in a bad financial situation. We said, well, either close the store now or we'll try to continue. So we continued selling online for the rest of 2016 and tried to get ourselves out of this mess. against their policy, which they eventually found out about, and they ordered me to stop and to take down all the listings. So, which we've done now. And, again, once we did, my sales plummeted again. And, I'm not going to go through that again. I can only, take so much losses before, it doesn't make sense for me to keep this, I'm not making that much money to begin with, in the business, and to, it is, after all, supposed to be a business, even though we have great camaraderie, we have a lot of friends that we've made and so forth, we can't do it at a loss.
And so, just to clarify for people who don't know the insides and outs of game retailing, are they preventing you selling stock that you've already bought?
Yes. Once I close the store, I'm going to basically sell off any inventory I have online at that point. They will suspend my special retailer status, but that'll be a moot point since my store will be closed at that point. So I won't be able to buy anything else. But, no, they won't make any exceptions, to allow me to sell off any, inventory that I have. We had stocked up for the holidays on many titles. So I'm stuck with a lot of inventory that I'm not going to ever be able to sell, in the store because we just have, more than, the local community is going to need. And they don't seem to, have any kind of exceptions for anything.
So you got a cease and desist from them. What were they threatening if you continue to sell online?
Well, they basically suspended my special retailer status, so I couldn't purchase any more titles. As long as I have the store open, I do have customers coming in here asking for special orders and whatnot. So I do want to be able to help out the community here as much as I can for as long as I can. So I went in compliance with Asmodee, and I took down all my listings. They restored my special retailer status. But I did notify them that, I will be closing the store as of April 30th. And at that point, I intend to sell off the rest of my inventory online and close the store.
And did they react to you telling them you were closing the store?
In that email, I also requested one more time if they would, let me. I said, can I at least talk to somebody about the situation? And they won't even talk to me. They would just send back an email and say, sorry, that's the policy. We're sorry it's affecting you this way, but, we're not making any changes.
Okay, so we'll get a bit more esoteric rather than just facts now. Because their big push, their reason for instigating this policy is that it is their intention to protect the local game store.
Yeah, that's what's very funny about the whole situation. That's their stated policy. And I mentioned that in the email. I said, your stated policy is to help brick and mortar stores. You're putting me out of business. Isn't there something that we can do, any kind of agreement we can reach? And they're not willing to talk.
And so do you have... It seems to me that this policy, certainly in your case, and I've seen other cases, seems to work against local game stores, especially local game stores that are in rural areas that have to supplement themselves by online means. It seems to actively work against that.
Now, the one funny thing is, because we do sell online, we have very competitive pricing. So when customers come to the store, they actually get decent prices here. We're not selling everything at MSRP. So the customers are able to get a really good deal by buying their products at my store. But yeah, I find it's a little infuriating when I have customers come to the store and they're comparing prices. They're looking on their phone, they're online to see what the prices are going for online, and if they find prices cheaper somewhere else, they won't even buy a product here, even though they've come to a brick and mortar store. So it's a little infuriating. If Asmodee thinks that they're going to help brick and mortar stores by, now because they can't get it online anywhere, which is untrue, they can still get it online, that people are going to flock to brick and mortar stores and buy their products at MSRP. That's not happening. It's not going to happen. Everybody's still price comparison. They're going to come in here, they're looking around. If I'm within $5 of something online, maybe they'll buy it here. But, otherwise they see something a lot cheaper, then, I'm out of luck.
Why do you, if they're allowing Miniature Market and Amazon and Cool Stuff and the big players, What do you see as a possible reason for this policy?
We can't make it out. We've all discussed it here at great lengths, and there's not a single person that can come up with a sound reason why they want to do it other than, it must be improving their bottom line somehow. We don't know how, but as far as trying to reach their stated goal of helping brick and mortar stores, I don't see that.
Are there any other publishers that have similar policies? Are there any other publishers that... And do you think there are any other publishers who have the sway to be able to dictate how people sell their products?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's Mayfair Games has a policy that you're not allowed to discount their products more than 10%. Cool Minis or Not has a similar policy, I think, that you can't do more than 20% off their MSRP. And I can live with those kind of policies. At least everybody's kind of on the same playing field. It's a little difficult when there's, hundreds of sellers online and everybody's got their products marked at the same price. It's a little difficult to get noticed that way, but at least, it's not an issue. That's not the case here. I mean, it's just that. Actually, I also heard now there are more and more sellers now, or manufacturers, that are looking at least at a minimum to be able to have a brick and mortar store before you can purchase their products and sell them. And so when we do close the store, I'll probably lose access to a bunch of other titles that I would otherwise be able to get. So yeah, it's really just a very unfortunate thing the way they're playing our hand.
So 2 final questions. Firstly, do you think your store closing is a direct result of the Asmodee decision, the Asmodee policy? And secondly, where does the future lie for you in gaming now?
Their policy is absolutely the reason we're closing. I mean, we were at least managing before, and this in-store sales were actually growing, and things were looking up, but without the 50% of my online sales, we just would not be able to have enough revenue to meet expenses, and I went into considerable debt personally to be able to open a store. So it just doesn't make sense financially anymore, and so is their policy a result? Yes. We are closing our store because of their policy, unequivocally stated. Direction for our store is we're going to go back to the basement, basically, and continue selling what we are allowed to sell online. I'll sell off the Asmodee products that we have. And then, we'll see if we can find some niche product line that we can get into and sell. But, my guess is that we're eventually going to phase out the whole thing altogether, especially if Asmodee continues to gobble up more and more manufacturers.
This really is the last question now. What do you think the community has lost from losing your store?
We have a lot of customers that are very upset about this. There are people who really spent a lot of time here. It was their place to come hang out. And to be with other friends and to talk about, things they really enjoy. And we had a, wide variety of people here. We have a couple of older guys who really liked historical wargaming. We have a lot of Euro game players like myself. We have tabletop miniatures players, Pokemon, Magic, and, so many people. I mean, there's nowhere else to go, and we're in a rural area here, and there's not much to do, and people have a place to come here on a Friday night or a Saturday and spend time with friends and have fun, and it's really a social gathering here. I mean, I made a deal with the local pizza place where we can get cheap pizzas over here, so people are constantly ordering food and drink, and they're eating, playing games, making a day out of it. They're going to lose that.
So if you could say one thing to Asmodee, what would you say?
See what your policies have done. I mean, people are losing their local game stores. If you really care about us, you should reconsider it.